What I want to do with this lesson is just review and wrap up your next assignment that comes due is the idea of using the yellow formula sheet. The yellow formula sheet does contain all of the formulas you need. You don't ever have to memorize them. You will have this for any time you need this formula sheet. So please don't feel like you have to memorize them. Just understand where to look on them. We're going to focus just on the area formulas. You have to remember, area is counting the number of squares that it takes to cover something. It doesn't matter what size the squares are. They could be square inches, which are just little squares. They could be square millimeters, which are even smaller, or they could be square feet. Now, real quick note, take a look at this and take a look at the floor. Which tile is bigger? Is it this one or the one on the floor? So squares. The formulas are already laid out. We just have to know how to use them. Some are very simple. Area of a square. How many little squares does it take to cover a flat square? The picture has an S, and that's it. Why? Because a square is congruent on every side. I could put little marks here. This is congruent to this is this. The formula is S times S. A shorter way to write S times S would be S to the second. A rectangle is length times width, multiplied length times width. Triangle we're used to, 1/2 times base times height. Now what you have to remember with a triangle is the base is always the horizontal measurement. The height must come straight up from there. I can't tell you how many kids in the past used the angled piece as the height. That is not right. It has to be vertical up and down. So wherever the base is, you must look for a vertical measurement straight up and down. How do you know? Because they're perpendicular. They make a 90-degree angle. The base and the height make a 90-degree angle. So if my triangle was extended, you would know that this is the height. 1/2 times base times height. Similar height and base idea with a parallelogram. Base is horizontal. You must find a perpendicular height, something that makes a 90-degree angle with it. Parallelogram, base times height. These are the straightforward ones. How do I use my formula sheet? Figure out what shape you're dealing with. Find it on here. Look for the A formula. Some kids look for the V formula. That's not right. It's the area formula. Find the shape. Find the formula that has A, and that's the formula you want to use. The two formulas that take a little bit more calculation is a trapezoid. Trapezoid, not all of the opposite sides are equal, shorter, longer. This is 1/3. I'm sorry. Wrong one. Fix. 1/2. 1/2 times height times, in parentheses, top plus bottom. You must add up the top, you must add the bottom, get a sum, top plus bottom, whatever that equals, then you can multiply by height and then times 1/2. So it takes a little bit more figuring, but use order of operations. Parentheses first, then multiply, then multiply. In a circle, again, it's more complicated because it's a round object. You have to try to fit squares into a round object. So what will happen is there'll be pieces of squares shaved off just because of the curve alone. That's why it's more complicated. Pi times r to the second. Pi, we remember, is the number 3.14. Your calculators do have a pi button, but if you want answers to match better, I would use 3.14 as pi. So 3.14 times r is the radius. Radius is halfway across a circle. You must square it first. Exponents always wins over multiplication. So let's say this was 8. I would do 8 squared. 8 squared is not 16, it is 64. Take that times 3.14 and get how many little squares it takes to fill the object. Very straightforward. You must be able to use your yellow formula sheet. Find the shape, find the A formula, write it down, figure out what number you need to put in. We do also want to take a look at the concept of working backwards with an area formula, no matter what the shape is. Sometimes you will get a rectangle, and they'll already give you the answer. Area is 108 squares. If the length is 12, what is the width? Yes, you could figure it out. Something times 12 is 108. Again, we are practicing working our algebra to get us ready for next year. So how do I work backwards? Well, I need the area formula for a rectangle. Look on my yellow paper. Find a rectangle, find the A formula. It says length times width. So I would write my formula A equals length times width. Remember to substitute in things you know. Okay, 12 is the L, so instead of the L, I'm going to put a 12. 12 times W, I don't know what the width is. What is A equal to? It says A equals 108. I have an equation that I need to solve for the variable W. 108 equals 12 times W. How do I get rid of a multiplied number? Multiply by the reciprocal, 1 over 12. 1 over 12. W, because the 12s cancel out, equals 112 times 108. 112 times 108 equals 9. So my answer is 9. Is it 9 squares? No. The answer was in squares. You just needed to figure out the length, so it was 9. What if I have a trapezoid? The area is 40. I have a top of 6. I probably should reverse these. Top of 4, bottom of 6. Let's take our formula. A equals 1/2 times height times top plus bottom. So I'm going to substitute in things I know. A is 40. 1/2 times height. I do not know the height, so I'm going to leave it as h, times the quantity, top plus bottom, 4 plus 6. I can combine things. 40 equals 1/2 times height times 10. I can combine more. 40 equals 5 times h. Now we should know the answer is going to be 8, but I still need to do my algebra to prove it. Get rid of the 5, multiply by the reciprocal. H equals 8. My label is not squares because I'm just finding the missing piece. The height in this is 8. Let's go to the next one. Again, the circles are more complicated because there's a rounded object. Area is 78.5 squares. What is the radius? Find my circle, find the area formula. Area equals pi times r to the second. Let's substitute some things in. A is 78.5. Pi is 3.14. I do not know what r is. Now what I'll tell you is this. There's two different ways to solve this. I need to get rid of a multiplied 3.14. It is not the reciprocal 1 over 3.14. I can't do that. So you have an option. You can make this into a mixed number, find the reciprocal of that, or a new way I want to show you is this. This is a problem because it's a decimal. So let's multiply both sides so it's not a decimal. If you remember from the other video, I need to make the decimal move twice right. What number can I multiply to make the decimal move twice right? The answer is 100, because there's 2 decimal places, 100 has 2 zeros. So let's multiply both sides by 100. This becomes 314 times r to the second. On this side becomes 7,850. Now it's clearer what the reciprocal is. The reciprocal of 314 is 1 over 314. times 1 over 314. 7850 times 1 over 314 equals, my answer is 25. This times this is 25 equals, 314 crosses off with the 314 in the denominator. I'm left with r to the second. I must do algebra to this to change it to get what r is. I have so many kids doing all sorts of stuff here. How do you show it? How do I get rid of an exponent of 2? Square root. If you need to, write this down for yourself. Square root. That's what gets rid of a little exponent, the square root symbol. So, I got rid of the 2, I'm left with r. If I square root one side, I must square root the other. And yes, the square root goes over top of the number. What is the square root of 25? What times itself is 25? 5 is my answer. Again, my label is not squares because I'm finding an actual measurement. R is that. Use your formulas, substitute in what you know, combine, get rid of numbers using adding opposites, multiply by reciprocals, or square roots. End up with your final result. The last thing I want to go over real quick is at the beginning I asked which is bigger, this tile that I hold in my hand or the tiles that are on the ground. Let's check. Let's find a tile first. There's one. They are exactly the same size. This is an optical illusion because when I hold the tile up, it is much closer to our eyes, so it looks bigger. The last thing I want to offer you, I'll give you a chance for extra. How this works is the following. If you come tell me the answer, I will give you extra points. The question is this. These little guys are square inches. This big guy, which is the floor tile, is 1 square foot. How many square inches does it take to cover a square foot? Tell me the answer.